Contact Sports! All righty. We're back for our second episode of the week. We're going to go with Chris, the Killer Monsoon Fletcher. All right.
Yep. Yep.
Gary, the Giant Kim.
Of course.
Do not look like a 7'4" wrestler.
I am that big.
And I'm going to be Dave, the Animal Finale.
There you go. Animal, yes.
Remember George the Animal?
Where's the turnbuckle?
Yeah. I'm going to learn how to do one of those this week.
Right, you're a school teacher in your part-time. So
he's from Michigan. He's a Michigan fan. Was a Michigan. God rest his soul.
A hell of an actor if you saw him in Ed Wood, too.
Oh, was he?
Oh, hell of an actor.
I didn't think about that. That's true. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he spent his whole career acting, whole life acting.
Well, true. He played the great Tor Johnson, another wrestler from way back.
Oh, you're killing me. I'm loving these names.
The HBO special on Andre the Giant was fantastic. I don't know if you guys saw it. If you didn't, you should see it. It was a fantastic documentary. It was about 18 months ago. And I'm not a big pro wrestling guy, but the one on Andre the Giant was fantastic.
He could put away beer like nobody in the world. He had something like 60-some beers in one sitting.
Whoa.
He's a huge man, you know?
He beat Bob O'Brien.
Oh.
Yeah.
Embarrassed him.
Watch it down with some fish hoagies, too.
Oh, man. He embarrassed me. I got to tell him that next time I see him.
Mm-hmm.
You've been squashed. You've been squashed, my friend. Talking about being squashed. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good enough segue.
Nice segue.
Okay. What happened in contact sports this week?
Well, first, is this the moment of the week?
It's just your fighters.
Because I actually have something far more important than what happened in that.
Okay. Have your moment.
I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I'm gonna point out something I thought was remarkable.
Don't steal my lightning, though.
Whatever. You'll get a shameless plug here, but you should get it.
Okay.
Chuck Cooper's induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame on Friday night was one of the best things I ever saw in my life. After his son had a brief speech, which was a classy one and not too lengthy of one, Ahmad Rashad, who was the MC, announced Cooper's induction. And I counted 16 active top-flight NBA Hall of Famers came up on the stage after they inducted Chuck into the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Guys like Julius Erving, Charles Barkley, Kareem, the list, Bird, even Sigma and Bobby Jones, who were inducted that night. Thought that was remarkable. I mean, here you have it. He's going in posthumously, obviously, but you have this kind of recognition for a pioneer that, quite frankly, was not as self-promoting as Robinson, was in a sport that was not as popular as Robinson's one that it was at the time, and didn't get the same press. And clearly a guy that was probably a better guy after his career was over than Robinson was in terms of attitude. So hooray for Chuck Cooper. That's got to be the moment of the week. All the other sports stuff, to me, has to take a second tier to it.
Yeah.
And our own captain here, Dave Finoli, is the one who's going to get the chance to chronicle an amazing individual and career. And I'll let him talk about that, but I'm going to give a shameless plug here. We don't often do that, but we should be honored for clearly one of the professional sports true pioneers. Faced a lot of the same aggravations that Robinson did without the carpet about it and without the constant press coverage of it.
And in Boston.
And in Boston. Even worse. Correct. In Brooklyn, New York. Correct.
Let me tell you, I was at he's going to get a display at the Western Pennsylvania Sports Museum. I was there this morning for the dedication and the unveiling of it, and I got a chance to speak with a gentleman. Let me get his name here, Joseph Hines, who was a good friend of Mr. Cooper's after basketball into his just great career as a mentor, as a businessman, breaking barriers left and right.
Yep.
And the stories he told of Chuck Cooper at that point, I mean, just choke you up. And, Chuck Cooper has been dead for over 30 years, and this guy still chokes up talking about him. That's, to me, that's when you've touched a life like that. And I'm looking for it. I'm going to have an in-depth conversation with him coming up that I'm so looking forward to. But because when you've touched a person like that, that's a hero. I mean, this guy, his whole life meant something, and it wasn't just because he was drafted by the Celtics in 1950. His life meant something because he gave a damn about people. He gave a damn about people succeeding. And quite frankly, he gave a damn about the legacy he would leave behind, which, you know, I don't care who you are, what barrier you broke. This guy deserves every accolade he can get. And I'm honored, and I'm so excited to be looking through it. Right now, I'm researching his high school career at Westinghouse, and you know, it's just kind of neat seeing the ball roll on this kid, lanky kid, just about to become 5 years later, about to become a Hall of Famer, a memorable pioneer. You know,
and he gave a damn about Pittsburgh, and he never forgot it. And that's another thing he never gets credit for. People in Pittsburgh who don't know that history don't care about it. You need to know it. Should be proud you're doing it. I'm making that first because all the other stuff to me was secondary. Watching that, never seen anything like that.
Well,
and obviously it was something they thought about doing, but Rashad even himself stopped and took his phone to take a picture of that lineup of people that came up there.
I've never seen anything like that.
Right, never seen anything like that, and I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen it since. I'll be quick because I don't want to take more time. You know, in regard to that issue, Dave, you may have something to say.
That's worthwhile. That's worthwhile.
Well, that is my moment of the week. I mean, the Army-Michigan game was a fantastic game. Houston scoring 36 runs in 2 days was amazing. I think they're probably going to overtake the Yankees. To me, they're a little bit of a surprising favorite, which might be my prediction, I think, as this baseball season's rolling on. But I think one thing I got to mention in combat sports, similar to this guy, Vasily Lomachenko, that we've seen in boxing, again from Eastern Europe countries, people don't realize how significant these Eastern Europe countries are becoming in boxing and MMA. And it's becoming even more so. I mean, half these cards on some of these cards in the MMA are Eastern Europe fighters, Ukraine, Croatia, Russia, places like that. Similar to Lomachenko, there's a guy by the name of Habib Nurmagomedov, who's a lightweight. Now, lightweight in MMA is 170 pounds. Very few people go through an MMA career undefeated and completely dominant. This guy has lost one round in the 28 fights that he's had in MMA. He took on a guy who was sizzling, a guy by the name of Dustin Poirier, who's probably a guy who could box professionally. He's that good of an athlete. Poirier was sizzling, beating a lot of top-flight opponents, including a Hall of Famer by the name of Holloway back in April. They get into the fight on Saturday night, and Nurmagomedov dominated the first round, dominated the second round, got wobbled a little bit, but not bad, completely took it over and stops the guy by a submission, which this guy can do everything. He can box, he can wrestle. He's one of the strongest mid-sized men you'll ever see in your entire life. He did get into some crap with McGregor's people about a year ago, which was kind of ugly, but the guy's just an amazing performer. When you see somebody that's so dominant like this that it's almost boring, to me, it's also beautiful, just the way like Mayweather was. You check Mayweather's personality aside, he was also beautiful when he was at the peak of his career. Nobody could hit the guy, and nobody could beat the guy. This guy's the same thing right now, and I hope he keeps going. I'm going to keep giving it. You know, in MMA, you get tough opponents when you do get to that level. Tremendous performance, tremendous domination. It's one of those guys that you got to take your hat off and say, how can you possibly be this good? When he gets guys on the canvas in that, he's only absorbed 2 hits in his 16 UFC fights from the opponent back. He's lost 1 round in 28 fights. 1. Think about that. To McGregor. That's it. That's amazing. I don't care what sport you're in. That's amazing. So, I mean, that's my moment of the week in the combat sports. Habib Nurmagomedov. He might be the best. He might be the most dominant UFC fighter ever. If he was a little better English, you'd probably know more about it. He isn't. But what a tremendous athlete. What a tremendous career. He could end today, and he's already going to Las Vegas Hall of Fame there. So,
hey, Gary, a friend of mine told me about an interview that was on this week with Mike Tyson and Tyson Fury. Did you happen to catch any of that?
I did not. I had heard about it. I'm going to try to catch it. I mean, Fury's going to fight this weekend again. And Fury's a very interesting character. So no matter who he's fighting, he's interesting. This is clearly waiting till he can get the shot at Deontay Wilder or perhaps Joshua down the road. But no, I didn't see it. So did you hear about it, or what was this?
I just heard there were some amusing moments in it, so I'm gonna check it out afterwards.
They're both very odd characters in a different way. So I'm sure that would be interesting television. Let's put it that way.
Well, that maybe I don't know if you've seen the animated cartoon Mike Tyson Mysteries, but it's something to see, Gary. You'll have to check it out.
Mike Tyson Mysteries.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what you think of Tyson,
it's sort of like a Scooby-Doo thing he has going on.
No matter what you think of Tyson, and there's a lot of bad things you could think about the guy, but the one thing about the guy is he is, when he was a fighter, he was exciting. After his career as a fighter, he was exciting. He's strange, and he's certainly a lot different. He's a better personality than people give him credit for. So I'll have to check it all out. So,
buddy. Oh man, Mike Tyson Mysteries. Is that your segment this week, Fletch?
Well, guys, I promise no Antonio Brown mentions in my segment. I'll give you
God. Thank God.
Worrying about that, but in a very, very bad Steelers performance, I have a few questions. Not that it really mattered because the Patriots are going to win that game no matter what. But early in the game, Roethlisberger attempted a bomb to Johnny Holton. It was one of the few passes actually that were more than 10 yards during that game. And Holton was basically mugged by corner Jonathan Jones. So here's my question. Why didn't Tomlin challenge the play? I mean, after the Saints were robbed of the chance of going to the Super Bowl because of a missed pass interference call, the rules were changed. The rules committee, reactive as they always are, they made it so pass interference was now a challengeable event. So why didn't the red flag come out?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to send a message early in the game there. I never thought about it, Chris, but you're right. You're right.
It's not like the Steelers would need a timeout as feeble as their offense was, but that call might have actually changed a little bit. I mean, they would have gotten the ball at the 20-yard line maybe. Maybe then Tomlin didn't have to kick a field goal in the first drive of the second half because they're down 20-7 or 20-3.
Yep.
Or you might have even rolled the dice and gone for it, probably running outside and getting stuffed on that fourth down play. But, that's another one. So that's question one.
Yeah.
Question two, and this is for both teams. When that game that was out of hand the way it was, why were a lot of those starters still in?
That I don't know.
It goes back to the exhibition season. I thought about that too. These guys just don't play enough in the exhibition season, some of them anymore. Not that they got to play into shape. I'm not suggesting that. They keep talking about all these reps and stuff. They're not getting any, some of them, during the preseason at all.
So you had three guys get hurt in that game. You had Watt, you had Pouncey, and you had Juju all dinged up for no apparent reason whatsoever. Although I got to say, Pouncey's absence did bring the one highlight of the game for me, and that was when everyone on the O-line moved and pulled back, except for the center, B.J. Penny, who was still sitting there in his three-point stance. It was kind of a microcosm of the entire game right there.
Yeah.
That was.
But think about it from the Patriots side. What if Brady would have gotten hurt in that game when they're up by 30 points?
No, absolutely.
You're right. It's stupid. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I might leave Juju in so he could figure out how to get open with only, the team's best cornerback covering him. That's something we're going to need to see. Question number 3. Can any Steeler cover the middle? I thought that was the whole reason for the whole Devin Bush thing, but they made no adjustments. The Patriots receivers would clear out, and they would run someone underneath every goddamn time, and there was no adjustment made.
Where you make the
figure out how to stop it, we're going to be seeing that.
No adjustments were made.
May I add a 3A, too? I don't know if you guys felt this. I know this guy Gordon is a house. He's a big-ass receiver.
He is.
But can we learn to tackle? I mean, I have never seen worse tackling than this Steelers secondary the last 2 years. A lot of those plays, he came across underneath, but why are they trying to bump him on the leg? Take the guy down. Grab his feet. Do something. I mean, honest to God, Hayden and some of those guys are horrible tacklers. They didn't work on that either, beyond leaving the field open in the middle. I mean, it's just pathetic. I mean, I'm sorry.
Right now, they have enough good defensive players that if they have another bad year, there's no way you keep the defensive coaching staff.
No.
There's enough good players this year.
So, speaking of coaching, question number 4.
Yeah.
Can anyone deny Bill Belichick's greatness at this point?
No.
I mean, not only did he take Schuster out of that game with his defensive schemes, but he also had Brady protected and a stout running game. Guys, they had 2 offensive linemen missing and no tight end to speak of. It was a clinic, and T.J. Watt was not a factor. I mean, they chipped him all night. He rarely got anywhere near Brady. So, I mean, just a masterful coaching job there. You got to take your hat off for that one.
Right. And that's my thing about T.J. Watt. He can be at times. He has never been consistent in his 2 years.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
It's true. It's true.
Question number 5. Aren't we all glad that the NFL chose to open with Chicago Green Bay? Because
yes.
having the Steeler shit show be the kickoff would have been even uglier, I think.
I agree with you. That would have been a shitstorm and a half.
And my final question, and this one's important. Do we think that Robert Kraft got his pregame tug for this game? Because,
he looked happy.
boys, he looked awfully smug and satisfied.
Yeah. Seriously, there's a ton of respect to that organization. You can't not have a ton of respect for that organization. And Chris, you're right about that, but they are just eminently hateable. I'm sorry. I mean, for most people, they're the most hateable bunch of, whether it's Brady and his goofy clothes and his haughty attitude, and this guy Kraft. I mean, I don't know. They're one of the things for me. You just keep rooting for somebody to really knock them the hell off. You know what I mean? I mean, they are just hateable. There's respect for that success in that sport in particular over that sustained period of time, but they're all hateable. I mean, Kraft with that hair, what is he, 20 years old with that long? I mean, you got to be kidding me, dude. Seriously? I mean, they can turn your stomach. They can turn your stomach. You know what I mean? All of them. So.
Oh, man.
You guys going to ask me for the word? A lot of them are a bunch of.
Say it.
Oh.
That, and they're also a bunch of effing baloney.
There
so
you
I'm
go.
kind of looking at them. How's that?
Right.
You know?
Make a friend happy.
And they put the most upstanding citizen and clearly somebody who can really speak English into the mix too. This is good. That'd be interesting. I hope he blows it up the other way.
Well, there's talk now of some litigation coming his way for some sexual improprieties. So that was just a couple lawsuits were filed. So we'll see what happens there.
He's a genius. There's no question about it. From what is written or spewed out there to this type of, he's a genius. So,
yep, he is.
Yeah.
Friggin' genius.
Yeah.
I certainly probably my most memorable moment obviously is going to be a Michigan Army game, which was a phenomenal game. But to me, that wasn't the most impressive thing about Army's performance and Harbaugh's inability to see that when you have 8. Here we come. We got a special report here that I just got up here on Antonio Brown. Give me 1 second here. We're going to break it. Except, we'll post the thing a couple days later.
Chris did the shameless lead in there. He did a good job there. So,
well, he's been accused of sexual assault.
Well, that's good.
So when it comes up, we'll talk about it. But anyways,
that's good.
We had an enjoyable day. Ann Arbor, this downtown Ann Arbor is just a wonderful, fun experience. But the fun part was after we got home. We got home, had a little dinner, watched a little football, went up to the room. I turned on Stanford USC. Let me tell you, Stanford looked like they were going to win that game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Just barreling through them. USC starting a freshman quarterback after their starters out for the year with a knee injury. And it's rare when you see potential greatness appear before your eyes. But my friends, as Stanford is looking like up 17-7, looking like they're just going to roll over. A young man by the name of Keaton Slovis, I believe a true freshman, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. I think so.
Comes into that game and is exactly 17-3. I'm sorry, is exactly what USC has been looking for since the Pete Carroll days. Kid comes in out of nowhere, 28-33 for 377 yards passing. What looked like it was going to be a wrap because I don't know if you guys saw it, but Stanford just ripping holes through USC and looking like it was going to be an easy, simple game. And this kid just caught fire. This kid had the starting game of a lifetime. I don't think I've ever seen a true freshman come in that situation and just go nuts.
Certainly not anymore. Yeah, not anymore. Yeah.
But absolutely. This kid came in, and you just get the feeling you're seeing greatness. You're seeing potential NFL greatness. That's how good he was. And we all know the success that USC has had over the years with producing pretty decent quarterbacks throughout. But seeing him up, direct the band, again, something only happens in college football tradition there. It was just a goosebump moment, and it was as much as we told you in the last episode, as much as I reveled in the Michigan bathrooms. This to me was my highlight of the day. Keaton Slovis, he's going to be somebody you need to just be aware of, because if he puts USC back on the map, when USC is good, just like when Alabama's good, just like when Notre Dame's good, the sport is a lot better.
It's true.
You need those teams to be good. You need to be the villain, so to speak. College basketball to be successful needs villains. And Chris, you were up there for some of the good times, if I'm not mistaken, were you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what Los Angeles is like when, even more so than UCLA. I would always think UCLA is, whether they're good or bad, is always the second banana.
They are. But, you mentioned USC. Did you guys see that Lynn Swann resigned as
yes.
as AD there?
I did not see that.
No.
So I'm wondering if they're going to bring in someone who is more of a professional AD as opposed to someone
who has no experience.
Hey, it worked for Mike Garrett.
Yeah.
It did.
But, doesn't work often. I would always think you want the experienced guy in there. But
the world's changing a little bit.
Well,
I think the name's less important.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, all the problems happened under Mike Garrett's watch.
They did.
So
all the winning also happened there too. So
that's true. Yeah. But again, proves our point from last week, what you have to do to win in college football.
Sometimes.
So
I just think the business is changing. It's almost got some of the pro aspects now. You don't have the contracts, but you've got the stadiums, you've got the sponsorship, you've got all that kind of stuff. Football is one thing or basketball is one thing, but you got to have somebody who can really dance both sides of that table. And I don't know, maybe Lynn couldn't do it. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, there was just a lot of things that, maybe I don't know that Lynn Swann did anything bad himself, but there were a lot of things happening underneath him that perhaps a more experienced guy would have taken care of.
Yeah.
Well, you also have boosters that are tough to manage out there.
Well, that's I'm sure.
They have a lot of money. They're used to getting their way, and rules be damned. So that presents a unique challenge. Some of the biggest money in the whole country out that way. So
we have experience of that at Duquesne. Us as boosters.
It's going to be us. Soon it's going to be us.
Hey, they've kept us under control. I give them credit. Anyways, that's that was nothing I love better though than coming home from work or just being up for that midnight game on the West Coast. You're
I agree.
A classic game. Greatest sport in the world. As corrupt as it is, as one-sided as it is, as it's easy to pick your 4 playoff teams before the season starts. There's still something about it that you just love. So,
Well, I mean, the whole event, inside, once I get inside the lines and the whole event leading up to it's pretty high level. You're right, Dave. You said that a few years back when we were talking about football in general, and it is all the cesspool around it seems to bleed away easier in college football when they get in between the white lines and all the tailgating and the crowd and the tradition of it. You're right about that, definitely.
all I have to say is, hail to the victors, valiant. Hail to the conquering heroes.
No, and here's the other thing. Nobody wants to play Army. They play a style that they eat the clock. Your possessions are precious. If you have a turnover, it's a really bad thing against Army because you may not be getting the ball back. You know they're going to run the ball, but they say, come stop us.
Well, and teams just aren't designed to deal with that, whatever the hell they call it, triple option or whatever they run. Like
it looks like more veer than a triple option.
But you just don't see it.
Running one or two guys in the backfield.
But damn, when that thing's clicking, it's fun to watch.
It is, and I used to love that about college football in the 70s when a lot of teams ran that kind, but you don't see it anymore. And these tremendous athletes are like, what the heck is this? Even if they're watching on tape and everything else. And, you know, these guys are born and bred to come up with a strategic way to beat a better manned opponent. That's what their whole education is.
Yeah.
So think about it. Football is a perfect game for them.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. And Navy as well. Same thing.
Well, it's the same thing, but on the other end, you know, the only way they had a chance to beat Michigan is to gamble that Harbaugh was going to do some stupid things. You put 8 guys on the line, you're basically saying, take the middle on us, okay? Harbaugh, who said in the thing, you win games by beating them at the line. Well, no, you don't always. When you see 8 guys on the line and every pass you have down the middle is wide open, pass down the middle. You know, I had my headphones on. I was trying to talk to him from the stands. He was on my fingertip.
Do you have your clipboard, though?
I have the clipboard in my pants, okay? You know, which is the way that the best coaches really have them.
It is true.
Yeah.
But you need to wear the Hager Sansa belt to be able to.
I went to change. I went into the bathroom down below where you can get through to change.
Put a gold pair on.
I put him there, and then I tried to hand him to Tony. He didn't want to take the clipboard at that point. I think that's the problem.
He said, watch this, and then
well, watch this first.
I mean, it sounds like Harbaugh did what so many of these coaches do, and that's where I think a guy like Belichick does deserve credit. Don't outthink yourself. I mean, you got NFL quality receivers, tight ends. Use them against Army. They got one NFL candidate.
No. Again, I've never been a coach. I don't know how easy it is when you've game planned something all week to switch it, but I've got to assume it's possible to be able to do so. I mean, that being said, just wonderfully, and if Army wins that game, you look at the schedule, they're undefeated. They're going into they're going in undefeated. And I know you don't, at that point in time, they don't make a playoff, obviously, but they're the best of the under Power 5 team, so they go to a major bowl at that point. So that would have been –
wouldn't that have been something?
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been incredible.
I'm glad the 2 programs are doing well. I'm glad both military programs are doing very well. It's a full credit to them.
Hey, guys, there's 3 of them. What about Air Force? You guys, everybody forgets about Air Force.
They pull always one upset a year in that whack or whatever they're in, but they're just not on that same – they seem to have taken a step backwards. So,
but yeah, but you're right. In the past history of it, I don't know what this guy is making, and it's really – can you help me on this, Fletch?
I'm stunned, Dave. I'm watching this guy eat a marshmallow and just like –
Is that a marshmallow? Oh, God. Okay.
I thought you were talking about what the Air Force coach was making. I thought
Fisher DeBerry. I don't know if he's still there, but I always like that name, Fisher DeBerry.
Yeah, that's a great name. Him and BYU were fun to watch sometimes in those late night games.
Oh yeah, that's
62-59. Remember those when McMahon was there? McMahon was at BYU at 62-59. They were fun.
Yeah.
So,
I had a friend from high school who went there before he transferred back to Pitt and played out there. The discipline it took to play there was incredible.
I'm sure.
Oh,
Sure.
But all right, let's go for a quick round of predictions. Chris, predict for me.
well, guys, Monday is I know, Dave, it's one of your favorite times of the year. It's coming up. The new season of Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And one of the contestants is one Hall of Famer, Ray Lewis.
Whoa.
And let me tell you, fellas, I'm saying it right here and right now that Ray Lewis is going to win Dancing with the Stars this time. He's going to follow the tradition of Heinz Ward. And what was the other NFL? There's another NFL player who won. Was it Emmitt Smith? I believe Emmitt Smith won.
He's in it, I think.
Emmitt Smith, you are correct.
So we will be celebrating Ray Lewis. And if he does win, fellas, I will do my best to get him on this show. That will be my goal, to get him to come on here and talk about how football and Dancing with the Stars are similar.
It's like a dream come true.
It would be.
Like a dream. I like it. Oh, okay. Gary?
I mean, my prediction is a little more sports area. I mean, I think it's interesting.
Dancing is in the
Verlander and Cole are throwing the ball marvelously. Now they've got some issues. They got some injuries, and they nobody was really talking about Houston this year. Yankees back end bullpen far better, although I still think Chapman's highly erratic, kind of that Amir Garrett type of erratic. They got some big arms, and the starting pitching stinks. A lot of strikeouts in the Yankee lineup. I just get the feeling Houston's going to surprise everybody and come out of that AL, and I wouldn't be all that surprised if they beat Los Angeles, whoever comes out of the NL either again. And nobody was really talking about that or them, despite those two big arms and with some of those injuries. They just look, if you've been watching any of the highlights or anything, and not just the 36 runs they scored in those 2 days, but they're just hitting the ball, pitching the ball. They're doing a lot of things right. Now, it's a little early. It's only September, whatever the hell it is, 10th. But I just get the feeling that they're kind of under the radar a little bit, and they're kind of playing off that. So it's a little bit of an early prediction, but I kind of think they're going to do a little bit better than people thought.
Cole's strikeout percentage is just out of this world this year.
Him and Verlander are just sensational, Chris. Man.
One thing that, though, tonight your Dodgers may actually be the first team to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, I got a huge lead. Huge lead. Yep, huge lead.
No good. Only one good race this year, fellas, and that's in the NL Central.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought the Indians would have done a little more. I guess that loss of Ramirez hurt. It's a shame, but I thought they would have made that a little more challenging. But you're right. There's only one race, and honestly, longer discussion, not for the prediction thing here. Look at how bad some of these teams are. I mean, Tigers lose 100 by game 141. I mean, how pathetic. It's just got to change the whole business model.
The Twins have taken advantage of the ball that has a little more drag on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. The Twins have taken advantage of that more than anybody. I'm not sure that they're a better team than the Indians, but by damn, they've taken advantage of that rule, and not their rule, but the situation, and give them credit.
But you know, big lead early too. Get a big lead in baseball early. It's always easier to hold it than it is to come back from one. So,
you know what is competitive, Dave?
Huh.
The CFL.
It's good lead in. I'm gonna hang on 1 second. I have to put my predictor hat on.
I hope it has 2 straws and beer cans.
Okay.
Oh.
This is Darwin's hat. This is Huck's hat. My
All right,
father's.
we'll be right back.
the Bruno Mars hat going there too.
Oh, this is like, I got this from my dad. Ah, there we go. All right. That's the predictor's hat. Gary, the pressure's on you.
I mean, I don't have anything of any similarity to that, but let's see.
All right. Okay. Let me tell you. 7. Go ahead. Put up the 1.
You guys will recognize this one. This is a pretty famous one. Chris.
Oh, the Seattle Pilots.
There you go.
Okay, that's a great hat.
It's a one-time wonder. So
That's a great hat.
Wow.
All right. These are classic hats. This will be our predicting hats going forward. Okay. Now, we're in Calgary this week. They've hosted an Olympic, but they haven't won in hockey since, what, 87?
89.
89?
And
It's not that
86. I'm sorry, 86.
86.
Yeah.
That's a long time. So we can safely say that they've lost baseball teams. They used to have a minor league team. They've lost that. They probably have one in the minor Canadian league, but who cares about that, right? Am I right? Canadian.
Unless Roy Cormier is pitching for them, no.
No, exactly.
Cold for baseball there in Calgary.
I've never seen Guy Fieri go up there to eat anything of value in
Nope.
Calgary. And again, they're playing. Hamilton is going to visit them. And it's not to say that anybody's ever been in Hamilton to eat anything. Okay? Have you ever been up to Hamilton and eaten anything?
No.
No?
I know it's a Toronto suburb. That's all I really know.
And that's the other thing. It's a suburb.
Yeah.
Okay? So basically, we're dealing with a big city who's a loser, okay, against the suburb. Okay? It's like saying, Greensburg is in the NFL. Right? Am I right?
Not for a long time. They were at one time, but not for a long time.
Okay. There's no Tim Hortons in Greensburg, though. That's the difference. Right? But bottom line, what this game comes down to is
Make a lot of friends in Canada, Dave.
I respect the suburb. I respect the suburb for being able to, have a team. But bottom line, what this game is coming down to, it's not just a cat they're playing. It's a tiger cat. It's a cat who's a tiger. Horses can run. Tigers are faster. But unless the horse tramples the stampeder, okay, he's stampeding down. But unless he's able to stampede over the tiger, I'm going to say the tiger would defeat him in a fight. Is that a fair assumption?
I think it is.
Because of that, I'm going to say Hamilton is going to defeat the Calgary Stampeders, who they've named this rodeo after, okay? And rodeo's not sports. That's another thing against them. They're excited for something that's not a sport, okay? All right? I know you're disagreeing with me, Fletch, but it's not a sport.
Not a sport. It's an activity, Dave.
It's an activity.
It is.
So.
All right. Fix the hat. Let's go.
So, Hamilton makes me 8-1. 8-1 this Saturday at 4 p.m. Tune into ESPN Plus to watch this game and watch me go 8-1.
We need to get you on the sports. We need to get you on Sportsnet because you're doing far better than the former Canadian Football League players and coaches are doing.
The hat has spoken.
That has spoken. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week.
You too.
All right. Take your hat off, Gary. All right. Have a good night, gentlemen.
You too.
All right, fellas.